A human stood face to face with a creature that could tear him apart in seconds. The alien zookeeper screamed a warning, but the human just smiled and said 5 words that changed everything. "That's just a big cat." This actually happened on Station Kepler-7, the largest interstellar zoo in the galaxy. And what came next shocked every species watching. Here's what you need to know right now. First, humans have a completely insane relationship with apex predators that terrifies advanced alien civilizations. Second, this single encounter revealed why Earth is classified as a death world in every galactic database. And third, what this human did next forced the Galactic Council to rewrite their entire safety protocol manual. But the truth behind this will shock you even more. Most aliens can't understand why humans survived on Earth at all. Their planet has creatures that shouldn't exist. Venomous spiders the size of dinner plates. Bears that weigh 800 pounds. Cats that hunt for sport, not just food. And humans? They brought these monsters into their homes. The zookeeper that day was named Zixthar. He'd worked with dangerous creatures for 20 years across 12 different worlds. He thought he'd seen everything. He was wrong. When the human walked past the quantum barrier toward the Veraxian Stalker, every alarm in the facility started screaming. This creature had killed 3 trained handlers the previous year. Its claws could slice through reinforced steel. Its bite force measured at 4,000 pounds per square inch. But the human didn't run. He didn't freeze. He did something that made absolutely no sense. And what happened in the next 60 seconds became the most watched security footage in galactic history. Let me show you exactly how this happened, and why it proves humans are the craziest species in the known universe. First, you need to understand what Station Kepler-7 actually is. This isn't just a zoo. It's a massive space station orbiting a neutron star, built by the Galactic Conservation Union. They collect endangered species from every corner of explored space. The facility spans 40 square miles. It houses over 3,000 species. Some of these creatures are the last of their kind. The station opened 15 years ago. Since then, it's become the most secure biological facility in existence. Triple-layered containment fields, AI monitoring systems, robotic handlers for the most dangerous specimens. The safety record was perfect, until humans joined the galactic community. Here's the first surprise. When Earth made first contact 3 years ago, the aliens were terrified. Not of our weapons or our technology. They were scared of our planet itself. Earth scores 9.7 out of 10 on the Galactic Hazard Index. Only 2 other known worlds rank higher, and both are completely uninhabited. Our gravity is crushing by galactic standards. Our oxygen levels are toxic to most species. And our predators, they're nightmare fuel. The average habitable planet has maybe 3 apex predators. Earth has dozens: tigers, lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks, wolves. The list goes on. Most aliens have never evolved alongside anything that hunted them. But here's the real twist. Humans didn't just survive these monsters. We made friends with them. Dogs descended from wolves. Cats were once wild hunters. Even our farm animals can be dangerous. A cow can kill you with 1 kick. Horses weigh half a ton. We keep these creatures like they're harmless. To the rest of the galaxy, this is completely insane. Now, meet Commander Jake Morrison. He was a wildlife conservationist from Earth, assigned to Station Kepler-7 as part of the new human exchange program. He'd spent 15 years working with dangerous animals back home. Lions, tigers, grizzly bears. He'd tracked poachers through jungles and wrestled alligators out of swimming pools. To him, dangerous animals weren't monsters. They were just animals. The aliens didn't understand this mindset. They couldn't. Their evolution was completely different. Now here's where things get really interesting. The incident happened on a Tuesday morning. Galactic Standard Time. Commander Morrison was touring the Predator wing with Zixthar, the head zookeeper. This section housed the most dangerous specimens in the facility. Creatures that had evolved as apex predators on death worlds, almost as bad as Earth. The Veraxian Stalker was in Containment Cell 7. This creature looked like a nightmare someone built in a lab. Imagine a tiger crossed with a raptor, then scaled up to the size of a small car. 6 legs, retractable claws like curved knives, a mouth full of serrated teeth, and it was fast. Security footage showed it moving at 60 miles per hour in short bursts. The species came from Verax Prime, a high-gravity world with extreme predators. The Stalker was an obligate carnivore. It needed live prey. Nothing else would do. Zixthar was explaining the feeding protocols when the alarm went off. The containment field flickered. For just 3 seconds the quantum barrier failed. A power surge from a solar flare. Pure bad luck. The Stalker didn't hesitate. It charged. Here's what you need to understand about reaction times. The average alien has reflexes tuned for their home world. For most species, that's a low-gravity, low-danger environment. Their threat response takes almost 2 full seconds to activate. Humans evolved different. Our ancestors survived by reacting fast, really fast. The average human reaction time is 0.25 seconds. We had to be quick, because everything on Earth wanted to eat us. Morrison saw the barrier fail. He saw the Stalker move, and his body reacted before his brain finished processing. He stepped forward, not back, forward. Zixthar screamed in 4 different languages. The security system started emergency protocols. Blast doors began closing. Auto turrets powered up. But Morrison was already moving. He made eye contact with the Stalker. Then he did something that changed everything. He squared his shoulders, made himself bigger, and he made a sound. Not a scream, not a call for help. He made a deep, aggressive vocalization. The kind of sound a predator makes when defending territory. The Stalker stopped. Just for a moment. It cocked its head. Morrison didn't blink, didn't move. He just stared the creature down with absolute confidence. Then he spoke. His voice was calm, almost casual. "Easy there, buddy. You don't want this fight." Zixthar couldn't believe what he was seeing. This human was trying to intimidate a creature that could kill him in seconds. It was suicide. It was madness. But here's the crazy part. It worked. The Stalker took a step back. Its aggressive posture shifted. The tension in its muscles relaxed slightly. It was reading Morrison's body language, and something in that language said, "I'm not prey. I'm a threat." This is what the aliens didn't understand. Humans don't just run from predators. We challenge them. We compete with them. For thousands of years we've stared down creatures bigger and stronger than us. We learned their language, their signals, their rules. Morrison stood there for 45 seconds, just him and the Stalker. 2 apex predators sizing each other up. Then the backup containment field activated. The Stalker was pushed back into its cell. The crisis was over. Morrison turned to Zixthar. The alien was shaking. His skin had turned 3 shades lighter from shock. "See," Morrison said. "Just a big cat. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this." The security footage went viral across the galactic network within hours. Every species had the same question. How did the humans survive? What kind of insane evolutionary path creates a creature that doesn't run from certain death? The Galactic Science Council launched an emergency investigation. They studied human biology, human psychology, human evolutionary history. What they found terrified them. Here's the truth they discovered. Humans aren't just brave. They're evolutionarily designed to hunt the hunters. Let me explain what that means. On most planets, evolution creates a simple pyramid. Predators at the top, prey in the middle, plants at the bottom. Each species has a clear role. But Earth didn't work that way. Earth had too many apex predators competing for the same resources. So humans evolved a different strategy. We became persistence hunters. Here's how it worked. Humans can't outrun a lion, can't outclimb a leopard, Can't outswim a crocodile. But we could outlast them all. Humans have the best endurance in the animal kingdom. We can run for hours without stopping. We can track prey for days. We sweat to cool down while other animals overheat. We literally hunted creatures to exhaustion, then killed them when they collapsed. But that's not even the scariest part. Humans also developed something called predator mimicry. We learned to act like apex predators, even though we weren't built like them. We made ourselves look bigger. We used aggressive displays. We worked in packs like wolves. We learned to read body language and exploit weaknesses. Basically, humans became the ultimate predator by pretending to be one until it became real. This is what Morrison did with the Stalker. He used millions of years of evolutionary programming. He recognized the creature's body language, saw the hunting patterns, knew exactly how to present himself as a threat instead of prey. The aliens were shocked because their species never had to develop these skills. They never competed with apex predators. They evolved in safe environments, where running away was always the best option. Humans evolved where running away meant death. The Galactic Council pulled Morrison's file. They studied his background, and they found something disturbing. Morrison wasn't special. He was average for a human who worked with dangerous animals. Earth had thousands of people like him: wildlife officers, zookeepers, conservation specialists, people who routinely worked with creatures that could kill them. But here's the really crazy part. Even normal humans did this stuff. The records showed humans keeping venomous snakes as pets, swimming with sharks for fun, hiking through territories full of bears and mountain lions. Some humans even wrestled alligators as entertainment. One report documented something called bull running. In a place named Spain, humans deliberately ran in front of charging bulls, for tradition, for fun. The aliens couldn't process this. Their survival instincts were screaming that humans were insane. But then the investigation found something even more disturbing. They discovered why Earth had so many dangerous animals in the first place. Earth had 5 major mass extinction events. Each time, 90% of species died. The creatures that survived were the toughest, meanest, most adaptable predators. Then they evolved for millions more years, getting stronger and deadlier. Humans didn't just evolve alongside these monsters. We evolved because of them. We're the result of surviving in hell and learning to smile about it. Morrison's casual comment about just a big cat made perfect sense now. To him, the Stalker wasn't that different from the big cats he'd worked with on Earth. Different planet, same basic predator. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. 3 days after the incident, something happened that nobody expected. The Stalker started refusing food. This was a serious problem. The creature needed to eat live prey every 48 hours, or it would starve. But it wouldn't touch anything the handlers provided. It just paced its cell, agitated and aggressive. Zixtar tried everything. Different prey species, different feeding times. Nothing worked. The Stalker was heading toward critical health failure. Then Morrison made an insane suggestion. He wanted to enter the cell. The medical staff thought he'd suffered brain damage from stress. The security team refused outright. Zixtar tried to have Morrison removed from the facility for his own safety. But Morrison had figured something out that nobody else understood. He'd been watching the Stalker's behavior patterns, and he recognized something. The creature wasn't sick. It wasn't depressed. It was confused. Here's what Morrison realized. The Stalker had encountered something it had never experienced before. A creature that challenged it. That didn't show fear. That spoke the language of predators. In the Stalker's mind, Morrison had established dominance. Not through violence, but through confidence, through understanding, through respect. The Stalker was waiting for Morrison to return, waiting for permission from the alpha predator. This sounds completely crazy. But Morrison knew it was true because he'd seen the same behavior in big cats on Earth. Lions, tigers, leopards. Once you established yourself as dominant without actually fighting, they would defer to you. They would wait for your approval. Morrison spent 6 hours arguing with Station Command. Finally, they agreed to let him try. but only under extreme security protocols. 12 armed guards. Emergency sedatives ready. Blast shields prepared to drop instantly. Morrison walked into the containment cell. The stalker was waiting. It watched Morrison with those massive eyes, calculating, assessing. Morrison moved slowly. He kept his body language confident but non-threatening. He positioned himself at an angle, not directly challenging. Then he did something that made the entire security team gasp. He turned his back on the creature. In predator behavior, this is the ultimate sign of dominance. Only the true alpha can turn their back on a threat without fear. It says, "You're not dangerous to me. I don't even need to watch you." The stalker could have attacked, could have killed Morrison in one leap. Instead, it lay down, not in submission, not in fear, but in acceptance. It recognized Morrison as a fellow apex predator, something worthy of respect. Morrison turned around, made eye contact again. Then he made a gesture. He pointed to the feeding station where the prey animal was waiting. The stalker looked at the prey, looked back at Morrison. Then it stood up, walked to the feeding station, and began eating. Permission granted. The entire observation deck was silent. No one could believe what they'd just witnessed. A human had established pack hierarchy with an alien apex predator from another world, using nothing but body language and evolutionary instinct. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. This wasn't an isolated incident. The council started investigating other human-alien-animal interactions. They found dozens of cases. Humans calming aggressive creatures. Humans training species that were supposed to be untrainable. Humans forming bonds with predators that had never been domesticated. One report showed a human on Station Helios befriending a creature called a Krell beast. This thing was basically a six-legged bear with acid spit. The human named it Fluffy and taught it to play fetch. Humans weren't just surviving encounters with alien predators, they were adopting them. So what does all this mean for us today? The Galactic Council faced a serious problem. Humans were spreading across the galaxy, joining mixed species stations, visiting alien worlds, and everywhere they went, they were interacting with local wildlife in completely unexpected ways. The standard safety protocols didn't work for humans. Warning signs that would stop any other species meant nothing to humans. Danger, lethal predator. Ahead just made humans more curious. One station reported a human trying to pet something called a plasma serpent. These creatures were so dangerous that most species wouldn't even look at images of them. The human thought it looked cute and wanted to take photos with it. The council had to create entirely new safety classifications. They called them human-specific hazard protocols, basically rules designed specifically to keep humans from doing stupid things with dangerous animals. But here's the twist. These protocols weren't about protecting humans from the animals. They were about protecting the animals from humans. Because once humans decided they liked a creature, they would do absolutely anything to protect it. Morrison proved this 3 weeks after the Stalker incident. The Conservation Union announced they were relocating the Stalker to a research facility. This facility had a reputation for aggressive experimentation. Not quite torture, but close. The Stalker would spend the rest of its life in a small cell being studied. Morrison found out, and he went nuclear. He filed 17 formal complaints. He contacted Earth's diplomatic corps. He leaked documents to galactic media showing the facility's track record. He organized protests outside the station director's office. When that didn't work, he did something even crazier. He requested adoption papers. That's right. Morrison wanted to adopt the Stalker, legally, as a companion animal. The council said this was impossible. No one had ever domesticated a Veraxian Stalker. The species was classified as permanently dangerous. It couldn't be done. Morrison said, "Watch me." He spent 3 months working with the Stalker every single day, teaching it commands, establishing routines, building trust. He used techniques developed by human-animal trainers over thousands of years, and it worked. The Stalker learned to respond to Morrison's voice. It learned boundaries. It learned to distinguish between prey animals and friends. It even learned to be gentle around smaller creatures. The galactic veterinary community lost their minds. This shouldn't be possible. The Stalker's brain structure wasn't designed for this kind of learning. But humans had done the impossible before. Dogs were once wolves, cats were once wild hunters, horses were once prey animals that humans somehow learned to ride. Humans have a saying, everything can be a pet if you're brave enough. The aliens were starting to believe it. The council finally approved Morrison's adoption request, partly because he'd proven it could work, mostly because they were tired of his constant complaints and media campaigns. Morrison named the stalker Biscuit. He said it reminded him of his grandmother's cat. This story spread across the galaxy, and it changed something fundamental about how aliens viewed humans. They realized that humans weren't just crazy, they were dangerous in a completely different way. Not because they were aggressive or violent, but because they refused to accept that anything was impossible. Other species saw a lethal predator and thought, stay away. Humans saw the same creature and thought, I bet I can make friends with that. This mindset was starting to have serious effects. Human-animal trainers were being recruited across the galaxy. Zoos wanted them. Conservation programs needed them. Even military organizations were interested. Humans had a talent that no other species possessed, and the galaxy was just beginning to understand it. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. 6 months after Morrison adopted Biscuit, something extraordinary happened. The stalker got sick, really sick. Its immune system was failing. The station's medical team couldn't figure out why. They tried every treatment they knew. Nothing worked. Biscuit was dying. Morrison refused to accept it. He contacted every xenobiologist he could find. He researched Veraxian physiology for 16 hours a day. He was desperate. Then he remembered something. A story from Earth, about how some animals could heal when they felt safe and loved. About how stress could kill, but comfort could cure. He moved into Biscuit's containment cell. He stayed there for 4 days straight. He talked to the creature, stroked its scales, made sure it knew it wasn't alone. The medical staff said this was pointless. Veraxian stalkers didn't form emotional bonds. They didn't have the brain chemistry for it. This was just making Morrison feel better, not helping the creature. They were wrong. Biscuit's vitals started improving. Slowly at first, then faster. The immune system rallied. The fever broke. Within 2 weeks, the stalker was completely healthy again. The medical team ran every test they could. They found something shocking. Biscuit's brain chemistry had changed. It had developed new neural pathways that shouldn't exist in Veraxian biology. The creature had evolved, not over millions of years, but in months, because evolution doesn't just happen through natural selection. It also happens through adaptation. Biscuit had adapted to human companionship. Its brain had literally rewired itself to form emotional bonds. This was the final proof. Humans didn't just interact with animals differently. They changed the animals themselves. They made new possibilities real through sheer stubbornness and compassion. Zixthar visited Morrison one last time before the humans' tour ended. He had something to say. Something important. When I first saw you face that creature, I thought you were insane. I thought you were going to die. But now I understand. Humans don't see monsters. You see potential friends, and somehow, impossibly, you're usually right. Morrison smiled. He scratched Biscuit behind its ear equivalents. The massive predator made a sound like a purr. That's the thing, Morrison said. On Earth we learned a long time ago. The scariest creatures usually just need someone to understand them. Someone to give them a chance. If this opened your eyes to just how different humans really are, then you need to hear the rest. Let's recap what we just discovered. First, humans evolved on a death world so dangerous that our entire species is basically programmed to challenge apex predators. Second, we don't just survive these encounters. We form relationships with creatures that should be impossible to domesticate. Third, our presence is literally changing how the galaxy thinks about dangerous animals and species interaction. Commander Jake Morrison didn't do anything special by human standards. He just treated a lethal alien predator the same way he'd treat a big cat on Earth. With respect, with understanding, with confidence. But to the rest of the galaxy, this was revolutionary. It proved that the things other species thought were impossible were just things they hadn't tried yet. And it showed that humans bring something unique to the galactic community: the absolute refusal to believe that anything is untamable. Today Morrison runs an animal training academy on Station Kepler-7. He's teaching aliens and humans how to work with dangerous creatures across the galaxy. His first student was Zixthar. The old zookeeper wanted to learn from the human who changed everything. Biscuit is now a certified therapy animal. Yes, really, a Veraxian Stalker that was once the most dangerous creature on the station now visits schools and hospitals. Children from 20 different species have petted it. Nobody has been hurt. Everyone's been amazed. This story is still developing. Last month a human on Station Helios successfully domesticated something called a Void Ripper. This creature was classified as a Class 10 hazard. The human says it's basically just a spicy puppy. The Galactic Council is updating their manuals again. So here's what I want you to do. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we're covering more incredible human stories every single week. Stories about humans doing impossible things across the galaxy. Stories that show why Earth is the craziest planet in known space. Drop a like if this story amazed you. And here's my question for the comments. If you could adopt any dangerous animal from Earth or space, what would it be, and what would you name it? I'm reading every single comment. Here's the thing most people don't realize. This isn't just a story about one human and one alien predator. This is about what happens when a species that evolved in hell decides to be kind instead of cruel. When creatures that survived the worst decide to help others survive too. Humans looked at wolves and saw dogs. Looked at wild cats and saw companions. Looked at horses and saw partners. Now we're doing the same thing across the galaxy. Taking creatures everyone else fears and showing them friendship. That's not crazy. That's humanity. If you want more stories like this, check out the video popping up on your screen right now. It's about the human who taught an alien hive mind to laugh. Trust me, you won't believe what happened. Thanks for watching. And remember, in a galaxy full of monsters, humans are the ones brave enough to offer friendship first. See you in the next one.